But if there is a favorite to finish in the top two, it would be 27-year-old Josh Davis, triple gold medalist from the 96 Olympics. Most golds, Rowdy, by any American man at those games.
You know, I have seen Josh Davis take a lot of races out very fast, but I've never seen Josh take it out that fast.
And he's still ahead of world record pace at the halfway mark. Davis looks like he's going to win it, and Davis sets an American record. He breaks a 12-year-old mark. What a swim for Davis.
Welcome to the Ultimate Swimmer Podcast. I'm your host, three-time Olympic gold medalist and captain of the 2000 USA team, Josh Davis. Here at Ultimate Swimmer, we hope to inform, inspire, and encourage you to be the very best version of you, physically, mentally, and spiritually, on your swimming journey. This podcast is geared primarily for those of us in the aquatic disciplines of age group swimming, college swimming, para swimming, open water swimming, and master swimming. But we welcome all who are interested in peak performance, pursuing excellence, and swimming with purpose. So whether you are just starting out in the pool or you've been swimming your entire life, you were born for the water, and you were also born for greatness. So each week we will explore the 7 core habits of achieving greatness that will help take you to the next level in your journey to becoming an ultimate swimmer. This episode is brought to you by Breakout Swim Clinics, the longest-running swim clinic tour of swimming Olympians in U.S. history. Breakout Swim Clinics has been providing swim clubs with the biggest Olympic names for the best prices with gold medal service since 1997. Go to breakoutswimclinic.com and bring some of their great Olympians to your team to help your swimmers break out. Bigger names, better prices, gold medal service. Break out with the best. breakoutswimclinic.com.
Hey everybody, welcome to another Ultimate Swimmer podcast show. I'm your host, Josh Davis, and I'm super excited to not just have one Ultimate Swimmer, but 2 Ultimate Swimmers on the show today. James Fike is 39 years old, the founder of Fike Swimsuits and Swim Products, and the founder of the Fort Worth Swim School, and a fellow Longhorn, and got to train together back in the late 90s and early 2000s. So an ultimate swimmer, ultimate dad, ultimate husband, ultimate business owner. So way to go, James. And we have another ultimate swimmer, Austin Surhoff, 30 years old, and on the U.S. national team for several years, 4-time at Olympic trials, 2-time in the finals at Olympic trials, and a national champion collegiately in 2010 and 2012 and 2014. And just an all-around great guy, keeps getting faster. And so very excited to have awesome Longhorn ultimate swimmers on the show. Thank you guys, James and Austin, for being with us today.
Welcome.
Thanks for having us, Josh. Welcome.
And we're also, this is the fastest old man podcast in the universe.
This is it, right?
We can have a relay. We just need one more.
So I've got the records. I've got some of the records for the 35 to 39 category.
I saw.
So Austin, I went 20.1 when I was 36.
All right, new goal for me. New goal.
You're on track for that though, because when you threw down 22 the other day, that's like a 19, brother.
I hope that syncs up. And the record, the records landscape's kind of a minefield for me in this age group. You're talking about for the Masters age group, right?
Yeah, Masters, right.
I'm pretty sure Nathan Adrian scooped up a couple of the sprint records for my age group. So I'm gonna have to wait until I get a little bit older to start sniffing those records.
Yeah, because it's Rowdy and I when you get past 30, and so you're on track to take some of those down.
That'd be amazing. That'd be great if I could keep swimming that long.
Yeah, no. Well, you're doing great. So Austin, let me talk about you second. So James, just real briefly, you threw down your lifetime best in the 100 breast, 54.4. Is that correct?
54.3.
54.3. Excuse me.
Yeah,
and,
got A every 10th.
That's right. You did that swim, or you did one of those swims in my town of Edmond, Oklahoma. You were just a mile from my house, and I
Really?
thought terrible that I didn't know you were in town. I would have come cheered you.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. No, I went, that meet I went 54.46.
Right.
And then a couple weeks later, I did a meet just down the road from my house and went 54.4 and then 54.3. To knock a couple more hundredths off of that. So, yeah.
That's fascinating. So you're almost 40, and
Yeah.
we swam together at the University of Texas, and you were there 4 years doing the Eddie Reese Awesome Longhorn program. And Eddie has a very good formula, obviously, the number of Olympians, the number of national championships. I mean, just unbelievable legacy. And we do our 9 swims and 3 lifts and sometimes another 2 dry lands. So it's basically pretty hard every day. And we got in real good shape. We accomplished a lot, but you were able to go faster as you got older. And you're able to tweak the recovery, to be more efficient with the weights and the swim, where the body could still operate at a very high level with less.
Yeah. The hardest part for me was essentially abandoning all of what you just said from my collegiate years, all that learning, all that training. That was tough, because how do you abandon the training given to you by the best coach in the world that worked for Olympians and world record holders? I mean, that's like saying, I know better than you, and I'm just going to go off and do it completely different.
Right.
And that's weird. That's really weird. But it's everybody's built differently, right? And it's taken me this long to figure out how I'm built and what I need. And it's just, I'm really thankful that I've figured it out before it was too late, because I definitely left my collegiate career unsatisfied with what I'd done and knowing I could have done more. So, yeah. In fact, I had a coach. I was at a meet this past weekend where I dropped another lifetime best, unrested in the 200 breast. I was just doing the breaststroke for the heck of it, the 200 breast. And a coach asked me, like, what do you attribute all of it to, getting faster? And I thought about it for what seemed like forever, because there were so many thoughts racing through my head. And I kept it short and sweet. And I was like, I changed everything. Like the sets that I do, the lifting that I do, the food that I eat, the way I recover, I just changed everything and left it at that. So,
well, it sometimes is hard to explain. I remember when I broke some records at the 2015 Masters Nationals in San Antonio, I broke the 50, 100, 200, and 500 record all in 1 week. And the guys in the locker room like, what are you doing? Are you lifting? Are you biking? And I was like, you wouldn't understand if I told you. I just, because I was literally just doing my 30, 50s as fast as I could on the minute. And I wasn't even lifting yet. And, but it's hard to understand, hard to explain how focused, how intense that 1500 was,
Right.
30, 50s is only 15 as a mile, not even a mile.
Right.
But It was so focused, so particular, so intense at some points.
Yeah.
But what I found for me, and then Austin, I want to hear your stories on your journey. When you do something very, very fast at perfect technique, it locks in. You get a speed pump, you get a neuromuscular effect that's pretty cool. But then you do it 20 or 30 times, you get the endurance effect. And so you're actually able to work both systems at the same time within a 30 to 60 minute window. So it's kind of interesting what the human body is capable of.
Yeah. Yeah. And before Austin takes off, I'll just say that, I've basically ditched all non-purposeful, focused, essential yardage and kept it to the quality stuff that really makes an impact, whether it's particular drills that I need to do or mostly high intensity swimming, kind of like what you're describing. So gone are the days of 2100s breaststroke, on 120 or 130 or whatever, anything like that. And it's 25s and 50s. Occasionally I might pop off some 75s. But it's all with the intent to mimic how I want to race. And because especially in breaststroke, it's such a dynamic stroke that if you get into a situation where you're just going through the motions and you get into mono speed, which is, same on the sweep out, same on the squeeze in, and same on the shoot forward, you're not doing yourself any favors. You're just training bad habits. So yeah, it's definitely gone the high intensity kind of quality route.
Yeah. When we were at Austin together, I remember we would get out of morning practice, and we would go down the street to the Red River Cafe. And you ate more food than anybody I ever saw. And I had the reputation when I was at UT in the 90-94 era that I ate the most of anybody they ever saw. I thought every meal was going to be my last. And after an hour and a half weights and a 2-hour hard swim, after 3.5 hours of intensity, we were starving.
Yeah.
And you could take it down, man.
Well, it's like that song, I'm not as good as I once was, but I'm as good once as I ever was. But, going back to what I said to that coach, like the food that I eat, like I can still eat like that. It's wild. Like my metabolism is still through the roof. Yeah. And if I wanted to, I could still do the same, crazy diet that I had in college with pizza after dinner and a pint of ice cream. That was my dessert. Pizza and ice cream was my dessert after dining hall, after practice. But, I had to adjust all of that and spread out my meals. I've ditched mostly my sweets like ice cream and cookies and cake and all those things. And so, in total, I probably still eat close to as many calories. They're just much better calories.
Yeah, real clean fuel.
Yeah,
that's good. Well, Austin, you had a great time at Texas starting in 2010, your freshman year. You win the IM your freshman year. We were all pumped. And we won the title that year, right?
Mm-hmm. That was what made it especially special, was that it contributed to that was day one, and then by day 3 we had the title locked up. So the two things kind of melded together in terms of significance.
Yeah, I remember I was there, and your points were a big motivating factor for the team, and a big momentum for the team points. So, and then 2012, did you win the 200 back in 2012?
I was a member of a 4-free relay that won, actually.
Okay, that's right.
And that one carried special significance because were about to lose a very disappointing meet to Cal. We had gone in that year, 2012, being the favorites, and the last relay, we got to sock them in the mouth on the way out by getting one more 4-free relay title. It's the last event in the meet. It was Jimmy Fegan's last swim as a collegiate swimmer, actually, and he was the anchor that took it home and won the relay for us. So NCAA titles can matter in a winning effort, or they can also matter in a completely different, but still significant way in a losing effort too. And it's still, that 4-free relay is as much a fond memory as the 2IM was.
That's beautiful. I feel the same way. I got to win the 200 free in 93, but in 94, the next year, as a team, we were off. But thankfully, the last relay, the 400 free relay, we out-touched Stanford, and it was almost just as good as winning the title as beating them, So
it's similar, right? You at least get your pound of flesh on the way.
Little wins kind of go a long way. But I got to race in the 92 trials, 96 trials, 2000 trials, 2004, and 2008. So I raced in 5 trials. I only made it to 2 Olympics. Mm-hmm. But you're getting ready for your 4th trials, 8, 12, 16, 20, or 21. So, but you have a chance now. I just competed to get the free food down in the athlete hospitality. You actually, and so I could watch the race. You actually are, top 20 now in the 50 free, and you got a shot at finally. Mm-hmm. Maybe give us a little quick synopsis of, the last couple of years going from traditional to swimming differently now.
Sure. To kind of condense everything into a general thesis, what I do with swimming these days is from the root of I only do what I want to do when I'm at the pool. And it's a mindset that has to be built on the 20 years of experience I've had with the sport, both 15 in swimming, 3 as a coach. And when I go to the pool, I show up to the pool, and I've been doing this training plan since September of 2019. So I've been on the sprint plan for about a year and a half now.
Right.
And it was just, I show up to the pool. All right, what do I want to do today? And what's grown out of that over the last, like I said, year and a half is a training plan that is very specifically tailored to the 50 and the 100 freestyle. I think James used the words focused and intentional. I also carved out anything that's unnecessary. So I don't really do much yardage. I maybe swim 90 minutes a week, and it's all perfect. It's all completely focused on my stroke, training a specific race. Okay. So like Tuesday mornings, I spend 45 minutes on just the back half of the 100 freestyle. That's the only thing I train. Right. And I'll do 50s long course, working my way down to the second 50 of my 100 pace. And then maybe one day I'll do a sprint workout where I'm only focused on the first 25 yards of the 50 freestyle. How do I get that front end speed going? And that's all I do. And on those days, I can't even count the yardage because it's stuff on power racks, on power towers, vertical kicks, stuff like that. So the reason that's different from James, and James, I think you've told me before that you're kind of a workhorse. Like if the yardage was required, I think you'd be happy to do it, it seems. I cut out the unnecessary stuff because I've never really have been a workhorse. When I was busting, and I worked as hard as anybody when I wanted it, when I was one of the better 200 IMers in the country, and I was contributing to Texas, and I was going for, I eventually was the team record in the 400 IM at Texas. Right. That was enough motivation to do 9 workouts a week, 7K a workout and bust my butt. But now that I'm a 30-year-old man with a wife, a rent, a dog, another job, I'm a coach at Johns Hopkins University. If I tried to force myself back into that same identity again, then it would burn me out completely. Yeah. So it's about the training plan. It's about being more focused and intentional, and that's worked on a physical level the same way it's worked for James. But it's also really helped me grow this second swimming career where I deeply, deeply, deeply love what I'm doing. Like maybe even more so than when I was, a national teamer in the 200 IM and winning NCAA titles, just because I know when I show up to the pool, I'm there because I want to be there, and I'm doing what I love to do because I want to do it. And so the training plan that grew out of it, again, you kind of have to have the experience that myself or James have to grow a training plan and trust that what you want to do is what needs to get done. But for me personally, it's worked very well.
That's awesome. I love how you use the word want. I want to practice. This is what I want to do in this set. This is what I want to accomplish in these few minutes. I think it's a great attitude to have. Now, so you swim 30 minutes 3 times a week on average?
No, it varies. I would say it's about 45.
Okay.
When I was in peak training before COVID, from about September of 19 through March of 19, I would go 3 times a week. So I'd have a long course workout and then 2 workouts where I was literally in a diving well doing racks and towers. All of them were 45 minutes. Sorry, my dog just pushed my computer. All of them were 45 minutes, and you can barely even count the yardage for the stuff on racks and towers because they're 10 and 15 yard sprints. Right. And now, because I still haven't had access to the Johns Hopkins facilities, we're actually going back to work next week on Monday. The can keeps getting kicked down the road for us. I'll go back to that 3 times a week, but I would say between March and now, it's either twice a week or once a week, depending on the week. And then lift has been sporadically just because it's hard to drive to the gym compared to when it was at Hopkins and my office was down the hall from the weight room, as you know, being a college coach as well, Josh. And then I also, less lately, but I would say especially from September of 19 through last summer, I would find an opportunity once a week to get in about 45 minutes to an hour of cardio. And for cardio, it was always social. So before COVID, it would be pickup basketball. Yeah. After COVID, a group of friends in my neighborhood and I actually would do Murph Mondays, which was this really intense CrossFit thing. I'm not a CrossFit guy. If you are, more power to you. But it's a mile run, 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 squats, and then you run a mile and you time yourself doing all of that.
Wow.
And I would race these guys. So I guess part 2 of my training thesis is, since I'm cutting out all unnecessary yardage out of the pool so I can take perfect strokes and be focused and intentional and sharp, I get my, my vegetables and my aerobic work done outside the pool, and to allow it to be more fun and more social. Because aerobic swimming when you're by yourself, for me personally, sucks. I don't like it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I can't do the slow to medium long stuff anymore. It's just not fun. I want to just go fast and find the perfect groove, the perfect stroke, perfect set.
I wanted to take a moment from this fascinating interview to let you know about a new partner for the Ultimate Swimmer podcast, and that is SwimShare. SwimShare is a free workout riding tool. Just Google SwimShare, all one word, SwimShare. And you can put in today's workout in just a few clicks, and it sends and stores all your workouts within seconds. The first workout you'll see on there is one of my favorites from yours truly. Check out SwimShare and take your workouts to the next level. Send, store, and share your swimming masterpieces with SwimShare.
Yeah, so you bring up, I got the 5 Bs. You played some basketball, and your favorite dry land is ball slams. Mm-hmm. And then I want you to talk about the brisk swim and the breakfast tacos. So you have a great Q&A on the Fike website. So FikeSwim.com. You have a great Q&A where you talk about a lot of this stuff. And so when you talked about the breakfast tacos and the basketball, I was like, oh, yeah, that's because I played basketball about 30 minutes before every high school practice every afternoon. And it was the best cross training that we could do for our vertical. And we were terrible, but we were jumping for 30 minutes before every high school practice. It was awesome. And of course,
it's so fun. You don't know you're doing the work. That's the important part.
Right. Exactly. And then you said breakfast tacos. Obviously, those of us that lived in Austin or South Texas for a while, we know the importance of breakfast tacos.
Yeah, it's the way that I keep in touch with my inner Longhorn every day. Fire up a nice breakfast taco, put a little Torchy's hot sauce on it. I'll buy Torchy's hot sauce whenever I'm in Austin, so I've got a nice stash in my fridge.
A funny story, when I moved to Oklahoma 8 years ago, I went through a taco cabana, and I was all excited with my family to get our dozen breakfast tacos that we did every day in South Texas. I get through the drive-through here in Oklahoma, and I said, I need a dozen breakfast tacos. And the guy on the intercom says, we don't serve breakfast tacos here at Taco Cabana because nobody in Oklahoma knows what they are.
That's horrendous.
This is a crazy state. I got to go back to Texas.
Oh my gosh, Josh, the business
but now we have a Torchy's
taco stand.
I know. Now we have a Torchy's next to campus. Now we have Fuzzies. Now everybody knows.
Good.
Real tacos now, so we're okay. But real quick, talk about the brisk swim thing. You find some cold open water for a brisk. I call it a brisk jump in.
Sure.
Brisk bath.
There's 2 facets to that. So to catch up your listeners, I've been doing 1 cold plunge a week since New Year's morning, all throughout this winter, and I find a different body of water to do it in every time. 2 reasons for that. Number 1, part of what helped me rediscover my love for swimming, because I retired in 2016 and now I've made my way back over the last couple of years, is just getting in any body of water out in nature whenever I take a trip. And whether that's, a trip to Colorado on a lake, or my wife and I went to Iceland a couple years ago and I made sure to put my head under one of the waterfalls that people go and take pictures of. Looked like an idiot American tourist, but it was fine. But just, I don't want winter to stop me from doing what I love, which is swimming, and swimming in natural bodies of water. And then second is a lot of what I've been focusing outside the pool has to do with the teachings of Wim Hof. He's known maybe on social and in the ether as the Iceman. So I do his breathing techniques, but I've also been very into taking cold showers. And one of the things that he uses his breathing techniques to do is prepare himself for really, really, really cold water plunges. So also just emulating that guy a little bit, because he's a sort of a role model to me with how he approaches life and how he attacks things that are seemingly unpleasant, like cold water, and making them into a strength, into a weapon. and into a way to live a very healthy and fulfilling and charged life.
Yeah, I find that fascinating. I'm not there yet with the cold dips. But
can I give a piece of advice, since you, and then I'm sure a lot of people are cringing just hearing me talk about, I was in a river actually at the meet when I went best times a couple weeks ago in the 50 and the 100 for 20 minutes in a 40-degree river. So for reference, an ice bath's about 59. And if you're cringing, what I would say is if you want to get yourself on the path towards cold showers and ice baths and stuff like that, just turn your shower to cold for like the last 10 seconds. So that would be my bit of advice. If you want to start down the path of cold showers, they're very good for you, a very good way to start your day. Just make the last 10 seconds of a hot shower cold, okay? Because then you're not
up from there.
Well, it's like if you want to run a marathon, the first thing you should do, put your shoes in front of the door, right? So start with hot so that you don't actually dread getting into the shower in the first place. Make the unpleasant thing something that happens right after the pleasant thing.
That's good beginner advice. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So
you mentioned also on fikeswim.com in your Q&A that ball slams is one of your favorite dry lands.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any other favorite things besides basketball and ball slams?
I do. I've been pretty consistent with Pilates since September, actually. And that kind of fits into what I've been thinking about, which is like finding things that people tend to do for rehabilitation purposes. So like when I would tell people about Pilates, people would say, "Oh, what are you, like 60 years old and you have back problems or something?" And I'm like, no, it works. It's a competitive advantage. The same thing. I take Epsom salt baths when I'm at meets in my hotel room. What are you like, an old person? You got like your bunions on your toes? Like, no, it's a competitive advantage. So I try to find things that people tend to use to bring themselves from negative to neutral and make them things that I can use to get an edge. And so Pilates has been really great for body control, for connection for my stroke. Like, and I can actually feel myself pulling the water from my fingertips all the way down my laps and into my hips now when I pull. And a lot of that is focusing on the little muscles that control your body that I've developed through Pilates.
I love that. James, do you have a favorite dry land things? I know you're still good in the weight room, and before we got on the show, Austin and I were admiring you're great in the weight room. We've got the swim thing down, but you're really good in the weight room still. So maybe you can share with us a little bit about some of your favorite weight stuff and your routines.
Yeah, so I've gotten way stronger since college. It's one of the ways that I've really changed and improved how I swim, because it's been a shift towards power and strength. Mm-hmm. And, in college, I was never supposed to be greater than 195 pounds. And Eddie always had like scales for eyes, and, he would constantly like, "What do you weigh?" And 195, and he'd say, "Okay, good, stay there." And so for the years after college, I operated under that same kind of standard, where it's like, okay, I should be about 195. And then when I started to rethink everything, I was like, okay, well, I need to get stronger. And I'm going to have to put on some weight to get stronger and build that muscle. And so these days I sit between 210 and 215, which, I mean, as you know, growing up, the thinking has changed now. But when we were growing up, it was, you wanted to be lean. You didn't want to have bulk and muscle mass, because that would inhibit your flexibility and your reach and your length. And here I am, like, my length hasn't suffered one bit, and I'm 20 pounds greater than I was in college. And I'm lifting just so much more weight. My max bench, just to give you an example, in college was, I think it was 245, and I barely got that one time. And now, like, I pop that off for a whole lot of reps, and my max, I'll be trying to hit a new max this Friday, actually, of 315. Wow. And it's been across the board like that I've just gotten way stronger. And one of the things that has really helped is going back to body weight exercises like pull-ups and push-ups. For the longest time, I really don't like doing those. But as you know, sometimes the things that you hate doing the most are the best things for you to do. And so it's been remarkable. And I've like mapped it out where when I do more pull-ups and push-ups as part of my training and my routine, my strength goes up and I'm much better in the weight room on all the other exercises that I do. Wow. And then if I am bad about it, which I haven't been in a while, but when I was bad about it, like I was kind of plateauing a little bit. So for me, pull-ups, and especially I think it's good for breaststrokers, pull-ups have been huge. I love slam balls like Austin. I'll do those as well. And then I'll also do some plyometric stuff in my driveway, jumping over trash cans, just to work on that vertical.
Yeah. That's all you need is a good trash can.
I mean, yeah, like in some ways, yes, like we don't need a whole lot of fancy equipment, right, to accomplish what we want to do. And COVID really heightened that for me, because when COVID hit and everything shut down, like I had to get super creative with figuring out how to replace all the things that I used to do at TCU, which has a super nice weight room with all the best equipment, and their pool is nice and everything. And for a couple months there, I was in my backyard pool, which is like 12 yards, and tethered to a tree so that I could get some more than 2 strokes in. Yeah. And, I was jumping over trash cans. So, yeah.
That's awesome. I love that. Well, Jason Lezak in 2008 anchored that relay. And of course, 3 years leading into that moment, he was training himself by himself, essentially. He had a few training partners here and there. Yeah. But he kind of had to write out his workouts because Dave Salo went to USC and left Irvine. So Jason stayed at Irvine. And for those 3 years, figured it out. And I remember when he got back from 2008, having the fastest split ever, I said, Jason, you got to share with people what you're doing. You got to share with them that, you're doing 8 swims and 3 lifts. He's like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm only doing 6 swims and 2 lifts. And I thought, what? He's like, I'm lifting so hard, I can only go twice a week. Yeah. And my 6 swims are so hard. I can only go once a day and take Sundays off. Yeah. And I thought, wow, he was doing that, now 13 years ago. We didn't call it race pace back then. We didn't call it the hybrid or whatever we call it now. Mm-hmm. He just did it. He just got rid of the dross and the fluff and was just, how do I go as fast as I can in the most efficient use of my time as I can?
Yeah, I've adopted a similar model. I work so hard in the weight room that like I absolutely feel it in practice. And when I'm a little sluggish in the pool, like I know like that's weight room. Because my time in the weight room has doubled from what it was in college. And so like on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, when I'm lifting, my swims are so easy. Like Austin was saying, I'm a workhorse. I want to do 10,000, 15,000 yards. Like I love it. I eat it up. And so for me to hop in and only do 1,000 and then get out, I'm like, I like mentally abuse myself. I'm like, you pansy, you're lazy, get back in the pool. Like seriously, like I have this battle in my head where I'm like, okay, do I get out? Yes, I just get out of the pool. Just get out of the pool and go, and then you'll be fine. But like I just want to keep swimming. But yeah, no, it's similar to Lezak, yeah.
Well, Austin and I were confessing that we don't like the pain after weights in our swims because we want to have perfect strokes and have really good reps and really get that race pace locked in and do it again and again and again. And weights sometimes compromises that. And we know the weights pain is good for us, but it's not fun when you're swimming. Mm-hmm. And so it really takes, a lot of self-control and discipline to push through that weight pain when you're swimming. And
that's why I swim now before I lift. Yeah. And it's very little swimming, just enough basically to warm up my body to lift. whereas, as you know, in college, like it was flipped. We lifted first, and then we went to swim, and so yeah, it's for me, everything's just different now.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, Austin, tell us about some of your goals for the next and plans for the next few months. Obviously, you're signed on with Fike Swim. You've got your new suit out. I love the bandana. I love the outlaw theme.
Yeah, man.
You know, hey, it's a little rogue is good, man. Good for you.
Appreciate that, Josh. Next couple months, it's going to be exploring a split identity officially now, being a coach and an athlete at the same time. You know, the last couple years I was a coach, and then I would tell people swimming was a hobby, but now I'm full on in the swimming, and then I'm going to be back to full on in the coaching for the next couple months when Hopkins gets back.
Yeah.
So my goal is going to be allowing those two things to exist in harmony, and being able to give my best to both of those things. And on the swimming side specifically, a second swim at trials. That's what's probably the most important thing to me. Because it's a good way to think about goals. You know, I can't control anything beyond getting a second swim at trials, right? When you can handle the semifinal when you get there, and then you can handle making the Olympic team once you get to the final. So and that just works for me personally. Different things work for different people. All I am focused on is second swim at trials. I've had 3 trials in a row where I've had one of those. I'd like to make it 4 in a row. There is nothing on this earth like being on the deck, being ready to swim at the Olympic trials in Omaha, where you're the only people out there besides the referees in this massive basketball arena with literal fire coming out of the deck around you, and your face and your name on that giant video board, and knowing that thousands, and if you're in a final with Michael Phelps, millions of people are watching. So that is my goal, a second swim in the Olympic trials. And then I think the ISL is just a phenomenal thing. So putting myself in a position where I can be a part of that is also a more long-term goal for me, but that's less in my control in terms of would I be desirable to a team, but I'm going to do everything I can to put myself in that position.
Those are great goals and very inspiring, and we're behind you, supporting you, because, you know, a 22.5 or better could get it, and a 49 low will get you that second swim, and you're right in that realm. So we're behind you. And how do we buy one of your suits? Tell us that real quick.
Sure. Go to Fike Swim, go to my ambassador page, and you'll see links to all of the different suits. We have men's brief and jammer and women's one piece and bikini. If you don't like my suit, we've got a handful of other ambassadors, some great swimmers that are part of the Fike Swim team, and they've also got some really cool designs. So whether you want a bandana on your suit or not, go to the Fike Swim website. There's a lot of really cool designs, and check them out. 20% of what the suit makes goes directly back to us, which is a phenomenal thing that James is doing to support pro athletes like myself.
And I've got to say, if you're hearing the word bandana on a swimsuit and you're a little skeptical and you're like, I don't know about that, I was in the same boat when we were designing this thing. I was like, he told me, I like this bandana thing, and I'm like, in my mind, my eyes rolled a little bit. I was like, oh, how do I let him down gently? And they turned out so good. So worth a check.
We got lucky.
Well, I saw the designs on all your ambassadors, and obviously the brick is a game changer for getting legs strong and getting people's kick better. So I just appreciate what you've done, James, as a business owner, and what you're doing to help support these athletes, our favorite athletes, these swimmers going for it for Team USA. And, you know, I love how you've been able to build a business, build a family, and still build yourself as a swimmer, an ultimate swimmer. So I love that. And Austin, you're coaching and you're balancing a bunch in your life too. You know, it's difficult to coach and find time, you know, for yourself to train and for these other side goals, but it's possible. It's totally possible.
I mean, look at you guys. I've got I've got another 9, 10 plus years of doing this thing and continuing to improve. I mean, James is still going PR, so that's that. If you ask me short-term goal, long-term goal, I want to be in this thing the way that Tom Brady's in football, man.
Right.
43 and in the Super Bowl. I want to keep improving deep into my life.
I love that. Last quick thing. Do you guys have any old Texas stories that you're allowed to share? Your favorite thing about Austin or the team, or just something fun back being part of the Longhorn team and coaching under Eddie, or any fun little stories that come to mind? I love the Eddie. While you think about it, I love the locker room meetings.
Mm-hmm.
I love the little Eddie-isms and little life lessons and just little locker room moments that we had. You know, because the workouts all kind of blur, but I love the little locker room moments.
Yeah, I can't recall 90% of the workouts we did, but I remember those little moments.
Yeah. For me, it's the thing that Fike Swim is really built on. Well, that my career is built on now as a late bloomer, and that Fike Swim is built on, which is our tagline. It's swim different. And Josh, I'm sure he was saying this to you and your group when you were at Texas, and I know you heard it when you were with us, training with us post college. If you do the same thing year in and year out, you're going to get the same results, and so you have to change things up in order to get better. And so that's where swim different comes from. It's this fact that no matter how good, bad, or ugly you do in one season or 1 year, it has to change the next. Even if it's a good season, you can't say, okay, I've figured it out and I'm just going to keep doing that over and over and over again. Like, you have to keep messing with the recipe because your body doesn't stay the same. It changes, unfortunately. And so that's what I've been living by now for the last many years.
I think the strength of Texas is built on the unbroken chain of connections that people make over the years. I mean, look at us right here. This is three different, I guess you guys are similar eras, but I mean, we're spanning 10, 15 years of classes just by talking right now. Mm-hmm. And so I would say a little example of that happened for me when I was there was I think it was the summer of 2010, maybe 2011. Ian Crocker hadn't been swimming for a little while, and people talk about Ian. I had met him maybe once or twice at this point. I think I was a freshman or a sophomore, and he was considering coming back to swimming to try and train for 2012. Right. And he came to the pool and no warm up in a brief. I think he went like 24-0 in a 50 fly or something like that.
I was there for that.
You were there?
I was, because I was finishing up my MBA. I was back at Texas for my MBA 08 to 10. And I remember I would just happen to be on deck. I don't even know why. And yes, I was there. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. And that's 24-0, 50 meters.
Yeah, long course. He dove into that, and I was like, "Oh, okay, that's the connection here. That's like the tradition that I'm a part of, is someone amazing like that can just do these unbelievable things. It's just different, man. It's just different what we had going on down there, and always will have.
Yeah, welcome, baby. Well, you guys are doing unbelievable things. So Austin, keep it up. James, keep it up. If you come back to Edmond, let me know. Now this is my last year in the 45 to 49 category, because I'm 48, turning 49. So I've got one more year to try and get some records. But baby, when I turn 50, watch out. I want to break a bunch of Rowdy's records. I can't wait.
I want to take a moment to tell you about my favorite swim cap, the Hammerhead Swim Cap. It's the safest, fastest, longest-lasting, most comfortable swim cap in the world. Its one-of-a-kind patented honeycomb shock-absorbing technology will prevent concussions. And the Hammerhead cap has no wrinkles to ensure top speed with the least resistance. and it's super comfortable. That's easy to get on and easy to get off, and it will never tear. This is the last cap you will ever need to buy. Safety and speed, all at hammerheadswimcaps.com. Thank you for joining us on this Ultimate Swimmer podcast. We hope you enjoyed hearing from these Olympians and life champions and how certain habits and decisions help them on their journey, and they can help you too. If there is an Ultimate Swimmer from your team that you would like to nominate that we can recognize on our show, just email me at josh@joshdavis.com. That's josh@joshdavis.com. And tell us about how your Ultimate Swimmer is making a difference in your swimming community. And that's the goal, to make a difference and swim with purpose. Not only are you getting better, but you're helping those around you get better too. When you realize you were born for the water, born for greatness, and born to serve others, you are on your way to becoming an Ultimate Swimmer. I'm Josh Davis. Until next time, keep streamlining and keep smiling. See you around the pool soon.